Welcome to the Something Good podcast, hosted by Renee Mueller, powered by Verly. This is where we interview top business professionals, industry insiders, operational managers, and thought leaders from around the nation, diving into hot current topics to help you experience something good.
Sounds good. All right. Well, today we have with us Kurt, who is probably not needing an introduction. And I think part of this is alumni, correct? You're from Columbus?
I'm not originally from Columbus.
Oh,
No.
You're originally from where?
Fullerton.
Fullerton. Okay,
Yep.
So not far anyway.
Yeah, right in the area.
I'm trying to think. Heather Bridger, I think, is from that area, right?
Yeah,
Is she about your age?
No, she'd be a little bit younger than me. So
Okay.
Kevin, I think, might have been a freshman when I was a senior, if I remember. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
But
Awesome. Well, we like bloopers, so
Yeah.
we'll go with it.
Awesome.
My family is sort of from around Spalding Greeley area.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
sort of
Spent a lot of time
middle of
up in that
nowhere,
way.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So the other reason I think for bringing you in is just to talk about your big news as far as Lakeview being state champs.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize until I asked my husband, who is alumni from
Yeah.
Lakeview, that had never happened before.
No,
I felt awful.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where the football program over the years, I've been there, had been pretty competitive.
Mhm.
In the 80s and 90s, it was a little rough at times. They had one winning season in the 80s, and that was 1980, and one winning season in the 90s, and that was 1990. But other than that, 2 winning seasons in 20 years, it wasn't a lot. Coach Ray Wagner came in the mid 90s and kind of started to shift the culture and get a foundation built. In his last year in 2000, they did go 7-3 and
Okay.
went to the playoffs. And then I came in 2001.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
2001. Okay.
So this is my 20th year, 21st year, whatever, of being out here at Lakeview. And yeah, it's been a special being a part of this school community and helping building the football program and get it to this place.
You've been there a long time. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. I didn't realize 20 years. So that was right out of college then?
No, I went to Midland, played football at Midland for 4 years, and then used up my eligibility and playing eligibility, and it was double major, elementary education, so I could teach elementary classroom,
Cool.
and then K-12 physical education. So I was finishing up both my majors, and was fortunate enough to be able to stay on and coach. And I coached the offensive line at Midland for 1 year. And then I had made plans. I was met my wife Kelly. She was incoming freshman that year. Was a freshman that year, my 5th year, and we started dating during that last year I was there. So I made plans to stay at Midland, continue to coach while she finished up. And then job opportunity came up at Hastings High.
Okay.
And Coach Walt Olson was the head coach at Hastings High at the time. And he was Midland alumni, and contacted Midland. Hey, you got any coaches that could come out and be a part of our program, help with the offensive and defensive line? My offensive coordinator at the time, Doug Lonick, gave Coach Olson my name and went out and interviewed for the job, and spent 4 great years and did the long distance relationship with my wife.
Mhm.
She stayed at college. She did get done in 3 years, which was crazy. It took me 5. It took her only 3. But
That's hilarious.
yeah, so and then she moved out to Hastings in the spring of 2000. We got married that year, bought a house. 1 year later, Lakeview job came open. It was in a good. She's originally from Strasburg. I'm originally.
I was just going to
from,
ask you that.
Yeah.
So Strasburg, okay. So.
And I'm originally from Fullerton, and so it was kind of right here in the middle of both those communities, and be close to our families. And
So this is like big city for you guys then.
it was at that time, very similar to Hastings. We kind of got comfortable there, and the job was right. I felt at that time the football program was definitely an upward trend. The basketball program had just came off a state championship and a state runner-up. What would be my first year there, so it was good athletics going on at that time, and I heard a lot of great things about the administration in school. And came out and applied for the job, and Doug Moss was athletic director at that time, and very fortunate that I was offered the job and took the job, and here we are 21 years later. So.
It's so interesting. Yeah, his son, I think, and daughter-in-law are both agents at real estate agents in Omaha.
Okay.
I think so. I don't know if you knew that
Todd
or not.
Moss.
Yeah, Todd and Tasha, I think. Yep.
Todd I had a great conversation after we'd won the state championship. Todd gave me a call that Thanksgiving weekend, and it was awesome to hear from him, and I just really appreciate a phone call. Doug's always going to have a special place in my heart. he 26 years old is not very old to be taking over any type of football program.
Right.
And at that time, and still to this day, we're kind of a C1. We've been B a couple times, so it's not very small and it's not overly big, but still. I had to learn a lot, and he was very patient with me, and there was definitely a learning curve, and went through some growing pains, but got through those early years, and Doug stuck with me and allowed me to kind of grow as a coach, and um, been able to establish a very competitive program out at Lakeview with the help of a great deal of people, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. It was a great experience to watch the win.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it was sort of nostalgic. I didn't even go to Lakeview,
Yeah.
honestly, but to see all the supporters there and just how great, the team wanted it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it was expected.
Yeah.
Right?
I think our inner circle thought we could get there. There was
Right.
potential. We felt like that could be their potential, but to show up this season and say, hey, we're going to win the state title, everybody knows it, let's go ahead and get it done. No, that wasn't the
Right.
case.
Yeah.
And we had a rocky start. So we started out 1-2 on the season, and we had to kind of reset our focus. And, our kids did a great job of that. And I think that leadership came from our coaching staff as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great coaching staff that really is in it for the best interest of kids. And that really comes through each and every Friday and how our kids play for sure.
Yeah, right. It sounds like I think you've got a new assistant coach. Is that right this year?
Yeah, we've over the last couple of years, there's kind of been a little bit of shift. So going down through our coaching staff, our defensive coordinator Jeff Bargan.
Okay, yeah.
Jeff's been there for quite a few years. I think 2007 was his first year at Lakeview. He came as assistant wrestling, assistant football, and then took over our head wrestling coach a few years ago, and has done a tremendous job with our wrestling program. He has been great for our football program, great friend of mine, and somebody.
Yeah, he's a great mentor.
Yeah.
I know the kids speak really highly of him,
He's
and the parents too.
Yeah,
so,
unbelievable mentor and just a great colleague to have, and
Yeah.
always a guy that helps set your focus as well. Dan Kruger actually played for me at Hastings High when I was there.
How cool is that?
Yeah, and then finished up his degree and was in substitute teaching, doing some other things in Omaha. And I would encourage him to try and make his way back here. And so he got a job back in 2011. And then he did take a 2-year stint and wanted to try college. So he went and coached college for a couple of years. But we were fortunate enough to get him back. He's an assistant AD now and works with our life skills program special ed department. TJ Nielsen, out of the top tier coaches that we have, I guess, as far as we lean on him, he's one of our coordinators as well. He's relatively new. TJ had a great deal of just success at Osceola, took that program and really turned things around. And we were fortunate enough to get him as our strength coach over the last few years. I think this is his 3rd year out at Lakeview. He has done a great job for us, not only in the strength, but strength portion of our program, but also in their special teams. He coaches our quarterbacks and our outside backers. And then Jimmy Biggs is a new coach this year. Jimmy came to us from Michigan, actually. His wife had got a job at Columbus High,
Yep.
and he was looking to get a a coaching job here in Columbus, trying to figure out what he was going to do for work. We were able to get him a para job at Lakeview and get him on as a football coach. He's been a tremendous addition to our staff.
Yeah, it sounds like he came on right before the last game. Is that right?
As far as
the championship game, I think. Is it right about that time? Is that when he came on?
this year,
Okay,
this year,
Yeah, the only reason I remember it is because he and his wife actually purchased a home that our company had listed.
Yeah.
And he called and said, we've got to delay the closing because I've got this game on Friday now.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny. But
he came. He's been here obviously the whole entire year, but he came right before this season. Yeah, this is his very first year that we've had him here, and he has done a great job. Works for the wide receivers and helps with defensive backs, and they settled in and got a house bought, and we couldn't be more ecstatic with what he's brought energy, and the kids love him, and he's again another one of those guys that's in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Matt Cross is another coach that we have up at Lakeview, works in our maintenance department. He's been here a couple of years now. Zach Glayshock played for me at Lakeview, and then has been coaching now. I think it's probably been 12 years or so.
Oh, really? I wondered that if you had any alumni that had played and came on to coach with you.
Very fortunate to have Zach. He's a guy we lean on. He does a great job as far as just the week-to-week prep with us. And, he's a guy that could show up on Friday night and just have a great vision. He can look at the football game and just have a good, fresh perspective on what's going on. So He's done a great job. And Darren Reinhardt is another coach that we've had. He's coached defensive line for us. His wife, JC, has been on our staff and is our head softball coach. So they're obviously bought in. Aaron Rudloff is a new coach that we have again this year. He came from Tacoma. He's a couple years in, works with our linebackers and running backs. And then we just have had, a good support system in our training department. Mike Slope, you can't call him a coach, but as much as he's around the kids and helping with their athletic training.
Yeah, he's great as well. I've worked with him, so
he's awesome.
Yeah, wonderful. And your wife Kelly, is she a teacher?
Yep, she's a teacher at third grade at Shell Creek, and she had taught at North Park when we first got here, and then made the move out to Lakeview just to get schedules on the same page, and then has been out at Shell Creek the last 5 or 6 years. And
awesome.
So everybody's in the same under the same umbrella, and daughters, McKenna. McKenna is a sophomore, our oldest daughter at UNL, and she's going into speech pathology. And then we have twin daughters that are currently juniors out at Lakeview.
Okay, and all of them have gone through Lakeview then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, one in college. What's that like?
It's interesting. So she's definitely speech pathology's really changed a little bit. It's so much more medical stuff that they have to learn now, and they have to get a master's. A few years ago that wasn't necessarily the case. So she's not going to be a doctor per se, but she definitely could have a degree.
It's
for
a
as
lot
much
of education.
Schooling.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're proud of her. She's working her tail off down there, and it's not an easy. It's going to be very rewarding. It's going to be awesome when it's all done. But you got to keep your eye on the light at the end of the tunnel. It's definitely challenging to say the least, but we're proud of her and all the effort that she's putting into it. So.
Yeah, and she decided to stay in the state.
Yeah.
How did that happen or take place?
She just fell in love with UNL, from the get-go, and she's, a football coach's daughter, so she's always taken a fancy to football, and I think Husker football, and just.
I was just going to ask, any aspirations to move on to UNL, Kurt?
Oh, I haven't had. I would work for a fraction of the cost that they are paying some of the coaches down there. Yeah. My goodness gracious, they make a lot of money, but
they do.
It's. I know they're doing their due diligence to get things going in a good direction, so hopefully they can get her turned around.
Exactly. So what's on the slate for next year for Lakeview?
So, we are obviously graduating a very talented group of seniors. This group of kids that we have that we're losing this year, they're very special, not only on the field but off the field. They're just good kids. Yeah. So, we lose a lot of, and it's not just at, the skills positions or the defensive and offensive line. We had players in that class all over, and it wasn't just our starters. We had a bunch of guys on our 2-deep roster, guys that weren't starting but rotating in, that were on our scout teams that were doing a great job for us there. So we're losing, with the 16 seniors that, again, just very impactful in everything they did. So, our next step is to focus on our underclassmen and try to get their mind right and get them to that level of commitment in all areas of their life. And we taught our kids a great deal. You can't be great on the football field and do your very best there if you're not trying to be great in all areas of your life.
Exactly right.
We're trying to really have them focus on that. And, I think that's what this group of kids that we had, they bought into that. We had 4 All-Staters this year on the first team, Adam Van Cleve, Eli Ostin, Jaden Jenkinson, and Colby Blaser. And all those guys, I think, definitely bought into that. Just loved high school football and loved everything about it. But you know what? They love being high school students as well, too. And I think they do right by our school. And you go into our honorable mention guys as well, too. Zach Anderson was one, Cooper Tessendorf, Mason Vierguts. You can go down the line, and all those guys that you just see just great kids on and off the field.
Yeah, they're great representations, I think, of Lakeview. So
and of our community as a whole.
Right, exactly, right.
Those a good chunk of those guys play baseball. With the other Columbus kids here, and Legion has been, our Legion baseball team has been very successful as well too. So I think they bought into that fact as well too, that they're not only representing Lakeview as a community but Columbus as a whole. And that was honestly, stepping away from that a little bit, was awesome to just see the whole town rally around the football team this year.
That's what I thought too. That's exactly right. I mean, you just get chills standing there in the stadium looking at all the support you had. So and I think many of the people that were there were not only Lakeview alumni.
There was Columbus High people and SCOTUS people there, and that's one of the unique things about Columbus is Coach Linder and I, Coach Linder from SCOTUS and myself, we have a great working relationship. Coach Williams at Columbus High, all three coaches get along, and we definitely will do anything we could to help each other out. Now, that doesn't mean that SCOTUS and Lakeview, when they get to the competition and they're going to play on Friday night, that we're not going to try and do our very best.
Right.
But in the same respect, there's a mutual respect, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been very cool to see that develop over my 21 years between the three schools. That that level of respect, and that respect goes into that game. Honestly, Friday night, we want to do everything we can to respect the game of football and respect our opponent by giving our very best. And
Right.
if we're not doing it, then that is a sign of disrespect.
And being great examples to the kids as well.
Example.
I think that's awesome. That's one thing that I heard over and over again, is that even though there's great rivals in Columbus, they all support one another. And I think the admin, all the staff, the admin of the schools would say the same thing.
Yeah. Jeff Anuka, who's the president at SCOTUS, he actually is our daughter's club softball coach in the summer. And I couldn't say enough great things about Jeff. He's amazing, and very fortunate to have him coaching my daughters in the summer. In softball, he asks a great deal of them and coaches them the right way, and takes a lot of pride in that. And so I think our daughters coming up through, and I think parents that they get on the club teams and play, I think that's kind of built that sense of community as well too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So you and Kelly and your family, is there anything else that you guys enjoy doing in or around Columbus together as a family? Or
Well, with the girls, they play all the sports, so we're always going to something, like I mentioned, club softball or softball in the fall. So it seems like we're always doing some sort of sport. My in-laws, Doug and Becky Mickey, actually live over at Country Club Shores, and they're over the last few years got into camping really heavy. So
oh my gosh.
if there's a hobby that we do, they have a big fifth wheel that they go and park at the different lakes. And if we get some spare time during the summer, honestly, that's one of our favorite things is just go.
It's got to be really a luxury more than anything. It's not really roughing it.
Yeah, it is not. Their camper is not roughing it at all. And they set it up, and it's tremendous. It's beautiful inside, and but having the ability to go there and hang out and just relax, whether it's at Lincoln or around the lakes there, or up in South Dakota.
Yeah, there's some nice areas.
It's been awesome to have that. We didn't have to buy the camper, so that's even better.
Exactly right.
So we
just clean it, maintain it, store it.
Yeah, our daughters will help them once in a great while. They'll get home, they'll go down and help clean or whatever else. But they do all the heavy lifting on that. We just got to show up and eat the great food and listen to great music and hang out.
That's awesome, and it's great. You have family nearby, so your folks or your family, are they anywhere close?
Yeah, so my mom lives in Fullerton, and she's actually remarried. My dad had passed away from cancer just right after my senior year of high school.
Jeez.
So he passed away, and then about 10 years or so went by, and another guy in our community, my mom's husband, Don, he's from Fullerton. He had lost his wife to cancer as well too. They had been mutual friends, and so they ended up getting together. And my mom got remarried early 2000s, and so they live in Fullerton and live up what is called the Leap up in Fullerton, and so it's kind of overlooks the valley there. And so we get there, not near enough, and then I'm the youngest of 5 boys. All my brothers live either in Fullerton. 2 live in Fullerton and 2 live in Silver Creek. So
really, so they all stayed close.
Yeah. And they're all in agriculture and farming.
I was just going to ask. It has to be if they're that close and didn't leave. So yeah.
My oldest brother, Craig Frenzen, is he's the one that kind of took over the main farming operation when my dad passed away. And my second brother, Kent, he raises some show cattle a little bit on the side, but he's a crop adjuster. And then my brother Scott and Rick both are in the cattle business a little bit, but their main job is in crop adjusting as well too. So Scott and Rick actually are kind of oversee crop adjusters across parts of Nebraska and South Dakota a little bit, I think, and they're in 2 different divisions, but under the same company umbrella. So all 5 of us are within 30 minutes.
That's incredible.
Of home,
so you've got a ton of family around them, both you and your wife. So
we don't see them near enough, but they'll get over to girls' games once in a while.
Sure.
It's a great support system, and my wife's, like I said, parents live here in Columbus, and she's got one brother that lives up in Minnesota, another one that lives in Lincoln, and then has a sister that lives in Hampton. So
wow, awesome. Well, good deal. Well, we appreciate your time, and we definitely appreciate everything you do for Lakeview and for the community as a whole.
Yes.
And that would go for Kelly as well.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much. This is a awesome deal. Having an opportunity to come down and talk about the kids a little bit and just share a little bit about our journey is awesome, and appreciate everything you do for the community as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I hope to have some of those kids on as we talk about some of the alumni and opening up opportunities for them maybe to come back. So that's our big what do you want to call it, Matt? Our big mission. There you go. Looking for the right word. So anyway, so we'll see.
That would be a great mission, because we have some great young men and women at Lakeview, I know, as the other city schools, and that would only help definitely create a great town here in Columbus and keep that town growing and progressing.
Yep,
so
that's what we're looking for.
Get those young professionals back would be awesome.
That's a big initiative. That's something that we are working towards with a few other groups, and so hopefully that will happen. So we've got to make them know why they want to come back.
Yeah,
right? So
that's great.
Anyway. All righty. Well, thank you again.
Awesome.
I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Renee.